So Terry says, same question about INFJ and ISTJ. She is the IN and emotional. I am the IS and logical. So if the same question is, how do you work with an INFJ? Kind of a similar principle. There's a couple of things that you can do sort of systemically that will really help an INFJ. Kind of like the INTJ before. I mentioned high pressure situations are not good for INJs in general, although I have noticed that INFJs can work a little faster than INTJs can because their co-pilot of harmony is more responsive than the co-pilot of effectiveness. Effectiveness is more of a thoughtful, build sustainable systems and build it out. So it's not as reactive. Whereas harmony is trying to figure out what's going on with everybody's needs. And so it trains itself to be a little bit more reactive or responsive in the moment. So INFJs can be a little, like they can work a little faster in general than INTJs can. That said, they're still going to need plenty of thinking time, plenty of processing time. And so not being too rushed is important for INFJs. The other one is that, and we talk about this a lot in different resources, make sure the INFJ is in a situation where they can see distractions coming. Just the little tweak of having their back to a wall and their desk facing a door or even a cubicle, like if they have an exposed back, both INJs feel this way. Actually, ISJs kind of feel this way too, but the worst is INJs. If their back is exposed, they'll feel vulnerable all day and their quality of work will go down and it will be something that they don't know is affecting them emotionally, but is. And so those kinds of little tweaks are very important for INFJs as well. I don't know what this person is getting emotional around. The ISTJ, you mentioned that they were getting emotional around comparing themselves with you. For an INFJ, I don't know what they're getting emotional around, but they are very sensitive to other people's emotions. And so if they're surrounded by other people that are having a hard time, they will have a hard time. And so giving them ways to separate themselves from others' emotional experience, or if morale is low, allowing them to have some sort of distance from that is incredibly important because they will unconsciously slurp up all of the emotions around them. So breaks where they can kind of go outside and get into nature is important, those kinds of things. So unless there's something specifically going on, like at home, or there's a major challenge at work, sometimes just setting up the system around them is one of the things that will be high leverage and will get them out of that emotional space. Because INFJs actually don't like being emotional. It doesn't feel good to them. They like to be more analytical if at all possible. Some INFJs very much explore and make peace with their emotional side and are just very good at being expressive, and they tend to be more artistic. But the ones who go into anything like business or management or tech, they actually don't enjoy being emotional, especially with negative emotions. So that's something that they'll resist. Whereas anybody who uses introverted feeling or authenticity, like an ISTJ, sometimes they can get stuck in a negative emotional experience. They don't necessarily register it as bad because it's just another emotion. And sometimes they'll kind of get addicted to an emotion. So an ISTJ, you sort of have to encourage them to get into a space that will propel them to feel positive emotions in order to remember how good that felt and to get out of the negative emotion. With INFJs, they don't like being in the negative emotion if at all possible. And if they do, that is a very toxic INFJ that maybe shouldn't be around anymore. I mean, in a workspace. But INFJs usually don't get sort of addicted to those negative emotions. It almost feels like it's happening to them. So asking like, what are some of they might not know, this person might not know, but some of the hacks are making sure they sort of logistically can see distractions coming, making sure they have a little bit of sort of psychological space from other people who are low energy or having a hard time. If somebody is having a very hard time at work, which happens, right? Like somebody's going through a divorce or whatever, if they are in very close proximity to the INFJ, it's going to impact them. So maybe a temporary like change of seating arrangement or something to that effect might really move the needle as well.
Hey, it's Joel Markwood, Antonia Dodge. Thanks for watching that video. You can go get a copy of Personality Hacker in any bookstore online. You can order it from your local bookstore in your town, which is cool because then you can support the local bookstores in your town. But this book is really powerful. It's separated into two sections. The first part is theory of the system, of the way we approach Myers-Briggs. We talk about the CAR model. We unpack how to learn about your cognitive functions. And the second half of the book goes into each of the 16 individual personality types.